Okay.
Can you edit this?
No, well, maybe.
I'll be able to.
Maybe.
That's what we need to take on the ship. One of those.
Oh, yeah. That'd be a good idea.
Record everything. I'm ready if you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready to.
Fire away.
All right. Let's start with your vital statistics, if you don't mind telling me your name and, like, where you were born and your birthday.
Okay.
No fibbing on the year
Ernest.
now.
Ernest Dale Gwynn. Born in Diamond, West Virginia.
Diamond?
At home.
Diamond.
Diamond.
You spell that?
It's like a ring.
Diamond. Diamond.
D-I-A-M-O-N-D.
Okay. West Virginia. At home.
At home.
In your house.
In the house.
In the house. What year were you born?
1943.
1943.
Year of the lead penny.
Oh, the lead penny? And so, like, did you guys live in town, or did you live on a farm, or
Small community.
small community
13 miles from the capital.
from Charleston?
Right. From Charleston.
Small community. 2 miles. I love Charleston when I was there. And what did your dad do for a living?
Well, he was in service for about 10 years.
What did he do in the service?
I'm not sure. A little bit of everything.
Okay. You don't know if he had a desk job or...
No, he was out in the field.
Oh, so he was like infantry type
Yeah.
deal? Okay. So he was actually, he wasn't like a mechanic or
No.
paper filer or...
Mm-mm.
Okay. Did he ever fight in any wars?
Yes. Iwo Jima,
Really?
injured. Got
Injured?
shot in the knee. And received a Purple Heart for that.
Really? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So he fought in World War II in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
World War II. What did he do, like, as a civilian? What was his trade?
Carpenter and mechanic.
Carpenter and mechanic.
He built a few homes and then worked on cars, rebuilt cars.
I guess it's kind of hard to build homes in the winter in West
Yeah.
Virginia. So, can you explain to me what it was like growing up in West Virginia? Like, for example, like, what did you guys do on a weekend? Did you sit around the fireplace? Did you have radio or TV?
Most of it was hanging around with our close friends,
Other-
out playing ball or at home watching television, when television came out. Mostly family stuff.
Did you guys go to church?
Yep.
Yeah. Regular basis or just kind of as
When
you
I was
could?
young, every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
I don't think I missed a Sunday for about 10 years.
Really? What church did you attend?
Methodist.
Methodist church.
Yeah.
Was it the same church that we went to when we were up there when your mom passed away?
Did we go to church? I
I
don't remember. going to
remember
church.
we went to a funeral home, but
A funeral home, but
there wasn't a church service the next day?
no.
All right, my bad. Sorry, back on task. It's just, most people in West Virginia, as a rule, would be miners, correct?
Yes.
Or military, right? Because it's a rural state as
Yeah.
in general.
Yeah. Miners. Yeah.
Not many not much farmland, I wouldn't think, especially
Not that much.
not in
you
that
know.
area.
Small farms, but not gigantic,
Yeah.
farms.
Did you walk to school in elementary school?
Elementary,
Yeah.
walked.
Walk to school.
It was about a half a mile to school.
That's not too bad.
I'm not like the real old people. Oh, I walked 10 miles to school every day.
Oh, well, one room schoolhouse. So let's see. Can you explain to me what you like the most about West Virginia?
Probably the same answer a lot of people get. The mountains, the valleys, rivers, lakes.
Scenery.
Scenery. Terrain, And a lot of people were friendly too. Everybody was a family just about,
Yeah, everybody knew everybody. Small communities.
Knew your first name, last name. Small community,
Yeah.
maybe 125 people. 50 homes or something like that.
Yeah. Were you close to your neighbors geographically? I mean, were you like, I don't want to say subdivision, or was it a trek to your neighbor's house if you were to walk over to your buddies?
Everybody was 15 to 20 feet between homes,
Mm-hmm.
Some might have a half acre, but not that great,
Yeah. What did you like the least about West Virginia?
Probably the weather in the winter time. Not the snow, but the mud and
Yeah. The
bare
slush.
hills.
Did you ever visit like extended family, like go to grandma's on the weekends and have a big Sunday dinner or anything like that?
Just about all the time.
Oh, yeah?
Grandmother lived 2 houses up, one, and the other one lived the next street over. 3 uncles lived about 50 feet from us,
Wow.
so the whole family.
A bunch of cousins and y'all
Yeah.
are pretty close.
Mhm.
So, when you went to school, so when did you graduate high school?
1961.
1961. Did you go straight to college after that?
The following year.
But you were on a scholarship, right?
Right.
Right. And you graduated from West Virginia, didn't you?
No, not college.
Oh, you didn't graduate college? You got real close, though.
Yep.
Yeah, you probably only had like a few semesters left.
Probably about 10 or 12 hours, I forget.
Do you ever regret not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it probably wouldn't have made that much difference in, following jobs I took,
Yeah.
the field I was in, physical.
That's true. You were probably still the most educated out of the whole staff. So, when you were growing up, what did your family do for leisure time? We've already explained that.
Yeah, went on picnics and just family reunions and stuff like that. Everybody was close, so.
So, it was a church
Weekends
big
is
tent
like-
revival or something like that?
Yeah,
Well, it's not really Methodist, but
church picnics and
ice cream socials,
I always had those.
barn raising, and so what was school like for you? You said you walked. Did you ever ride a bus to school?
Elementary I walked, but junior high and high school rode the bus.
Did you have small classes? Or were they large? Was it
Basically
mixed grades?
Small. In junior high, there was probably about 15 people to a class. High school, probably about 20, 25 people to a class. Not like college where there's 100 to 150,
Yeah, in your undergrad classes. Did you have, were your schools segregated?
No.
No, they were desegregated. You never went to a segregated school?
No, at grade school, but it wasn't because of segregation. It was because that's what school was assigned for that area,
So it wasn't, even when it got desegregated, did you have ethnic groups moving into your school?
Not the elementary, I don't think, that's still that way.
So you were in, let's see, if you graduated in 1961, the desegregation was in 64 or 65, wasn't it?
I think it started in 60 or 61,
Okay.
but ours is not.
So it would have been after that, or around the time you graduated, so it probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have affected you. Okay. Well, you were still, I mean, you may not have been in school at that time, but did the segregation or desegregating of public schools, did it affect you at all? Did you have an opinion on it at the time? Or?
It didn't affect me then. But
At all?
Everybody had the right to go to school, you know. I didn't believe in a lot of the long-term busing, you know, to make it right, you know. But I had no problem with desegregation.
Did people in your community or your family or did they have high-spirited opinions about it either way?
Not really.
No, nobody really. Wasn't a big deal.
No.
Where were you when you heard about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy?
I was in college and walked into the Union room there, what cafeteria
Like a
and
common
study
area?
yeah, common area. And I heard 2 or 3 people crying and screaming, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and asked them what was wrong. They just said the president's been shot and killed.
Mm.
So I think that was in 1962 or 63.
63.
63, yeah.
Did you have any did you like John F. Kennedy? Were you politically active at all?
Not that pillar.
Did you vote?
Yeah, no.
No, you didn't vote either way in that election? Did you like him or dislike him?
I thought he was a good president at the time, you know, for what time we had, you know, with him and everything. I had nothing against him.
Were you upset when he was killed?
Well, I guess everybody was.
Did it affect you profoundly in any way?
No.
No?
No. I had no problem with it. I know some people did, you know, but it didn't affect me that much, you know.
What was it like to live during the Civil Rights Movement? Of all the riots in Alabama and...
Well, there was always, you know, you watched it all the time, you know, what was happening and everything, but basically farther in the South, you know, so it didn't affect us that much, you know, living in West Virginia. You had a little bit of problems, but some people took up serious about it, but...
You guys didn't have a big Klan movement or anything like that in your state or community? No. To me, West Virginia is kind of southern, but y'all are kind of Yankees too.
Well, that's true. A lot of people didn't know. You know, it's not the northern and south part of West Virginia. That
right.
South went with south, north went with north. But a lot of families on the north end and the south part of West Virginia, family members, some was for the north and some was for the south when it went to Civil War. You know, and it split families. You know. A lot of people don't realize, you know, families were split that much, you know.
Yeah.
One brother might have went with the Union, and one might have went, you know, with the South, so.
And apparently that happened all over the country, not just one particular, you know, north, south, or...
But a lot of people think West Virginia was south, and a lot of people think it was north, you know. It's actually split.
Yeah. Well... It's my understanding that West Virginia just had a different way of life. I mean, they didn't have farms and plantations and stuff.
No.
So it wasn't really an issue for them. I mean, they were coal miners.
Yeah, and as far as I know, there was never a slave in West Virginia, as far as I know, you know. So.
Did folks...
There could have been, but...
Maybe not have slaves, but did they have like maids and servants of color?
Not to my knowledge.
Not that you know of.
Some of the higher echelon may have had, but I wasn't around it, you know.
Sassy cracking me up. I can hear her.
Snoring a little
Yeah.
bit.
Did you like the rock and roll music genre as it came about? Do you remember before, like Elvis and Chuck Berry and?
Yeah, I liked it when it first came out. Watched Elvis a lot of times on television. The old rock and roll I like, you know.
Like who would have been one of your favorites?
Elvis was one, probably the Righteous Brothers, the Bee Gees, they came on later, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Chuck Berry a little bit, you know. Bass Domino. The older version of rock and roll when it started.
Do you remember the like the feeling of, you know, oh, it's devil music, and was there a lot of that?
Not really.
No.
When the first rock and roll started, it wasn't. That came years later, you know.
In the 80s.
I'd say probably 80s, mid-80s or something like that.
Thanks to Tipper Gore. And what would be your favorite decade? Or your favorite, like the most exciting time that you've lived through, either socially or politically or economically? Or...
I'd say probably in the 60s, early 60s.
Would it be the civil rights movement that would have been the excitement part?
No, I guess it would have been when you was in high school. You had more fun in high school.
Apparently you didn't do college right.
In early college.
So, in the 60s, there's the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably the most predominant. There was also, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
There was also the psychedelic revolution at that time. Was it there? Or was that more in the 70s?
That's probably the late 60s, I'd
Late
say.
60s.
Or early 70s.
You know, the hippies and
Yeah.
Haight-Ashbury and...
Yeah.
That probably, did that have anything? I mean,
Well,
did
the hippies that started about the time the Vietnam War was happening too, you know.
that was 68, wasn't it?
Yeah, in the late 60s. I don't remember the exact year, you know. I think I was a senior in college, so that would be about 65 or 66 when the hippies started in the Vietnam War.
Did you have a lot of hippies in West Virginia?
Had a few, but not a lot, you know. West Virginia was always the last to catch up with the fad, I guess you'd call it.
So they're probably just now getting the hippie revolution, then, aren't they?
They could be real late. Now getting it.
Were you ever afraid of being drafted?
No, I got my draft notice when I was a senior in college, but I had just had an operation on my stomach, and they classified me 4F. So that was about 3 days before I was supposed to appear, take my draft notice. So they told me not to show up. I couldn't join, so
Yeah.
it was it.
Did you have friends that were drafted?
Yep, I had friends out of college that were drafted, and some, even though they were seniors, went ahead and signed up, but even before graduation, you know. A few of them were killed. So,
Did you have any cousins or family members that...
no, not family members. a few people from the small community were injured or shot, or I don't think we had any deaths. A few of them came back in wheelchairs.
Did they have, was there a, did they have psychological issues too, you think?
I don't think that was much.
It wasn't.
Uh-uh.
How did you feel about the Vietnam War? I know you said you weren't very political at that time, and it seemed to be a political.
Well, I thought it was a
nightmare.
mistake. If you go to war, you go to win the war, you know,
Mhm.
not prolong it and get more people killed, you know. That's the only thing I had against it, you know.
If you had been drafted, would you have gone?
Yeah.
If you had been eligible?
Oh, I had already packed my, so I was ready to show up for the medical examination for it. When I received the letter, well, I think 3 days before, don't show, you know, won't pass. So, oh, I was ready to go, you know.
How did you feel about, before you found out you weren't eligible?
Well, like I said, I didn't think the war should have lasted as long as it did. But I was ready to go, you know.
You weren't going to hightail it to
Canada.
Canada? Do you know people who did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people went to Canada, my understanding, you know.
Where were you when we landed on the moon?
Well, tell me the year and I might tell you when it was. I don't remember the exact
Oh
year.
gosh, 64? No, 62. Because Kennedy was shot in 63. Did he live to see that?
I think it was a couple of years after that.
I think it was too.
Mid-60s?
65 maybe?
65 or 66.
So you probably would have been in college.
Maybe just left college. I'm not sure.
You don't
Yeah.
remember, you didn't watch it on TV?
Yeah, I
or-
watched it on TV, but I don't remember, you know,
Mhm.
exactly when it was or where I, what was doing at the time, you know.
Back to West Virginia, did you did you have any friends or their parents who were coal miners that were killed in the mining accidents and stuff?
And no family or friends, close friends, a lot of people were killed in the mines, but had a lot of miners in our town, probably out of 50 homes, there were probably 15 or 20 of them that worked in the mines, you know. Some of them died later of the black lung disease, but nobody was killed, you know, in that small community, or friends that I knew of real close.
What's been your least favorite time or political or social movement to live through?
Least favorite? I guess all the wars. Nobody's a favorite of wars.
Oh yeah.
I didn't have nothing great, you know. Yeah, hard question.
Were you ever affected by the Korean War? No uncles, cousins, anything like that
Mm-mm.
that went over to fight?
Not to my knowledge.
How old were you when your father passed away?
Let's see. I think I was 28. 28.
I was just curious.
Uh,
Let's see if I've hit all my questions. We've certainly gotten our time in. Is there anything you want to add, or was there something you wanted to?
I'll just say one thing. I got a great daughter-in-law.
Aw. Oh, shucks. Well, I'm not grading you.
We're going to turn this around and put it on you.
I guess I've gotten everything. I really appreciate you helping me out with this.
Okay.
Let me ask just a couple of about like past generations and stuff.
I'd take you a little bit, not too far.
So you all lived like in the small community. Did everybody have indoor plumbing, like the grandparents and stuff? They all, I guess they lived kind of in the city, so to speak.
We all had indoor plumbing, except one aunt that lived, I guess, maybe a half a mile from us. They finally got it later in life, but I can remember they didn't have it when I was young, you know. But as far as I know, everybody in that community had indoor plumbing.
They have electricity and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just asking because it is kind of a rural area, even though you lived outside of Charleston. Still,
Mm-hmm.
when did you guys move to Bell?
I never did move to Bell.
Oh, that was after you left home.
Mm-hmm. My brother moved to Bell, you know. After I was probably 15 or 16, people started moving out, moving to smaller areas, you know, but probably only 40 or 50 miles, you know.
Let's see. I guess that's it. I mean, I've gone through all of my questions. We've gone through our time. The rest of it's up to me.
All right.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.